Movies from memory. Today I'm going to do Conan the Barbarian. I'm going to see how much of it I can describe from memory. Okay, so it starts out at the beginning of the film with a quote from Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, and it says, "That which does not destroy us makes us strong." There's another one I think as well, but I can't remember what it is. Anyway, and then there's the monologue from the actor's called Mako. He's actually in the film as well. He's the magician that helps Conan. And I can't remember it word for word how it goes, but it's between the time the oceans drank Atlantis and the coming of the sons of Arias, there was a time of high adventure. And I can't remember the rest of it. Anyway, then it cuts to Conan and his father's telling him about the riddle of steel and how these giants stole steel from Crom, who is the god of Conan's people, and Crom was angry, so he cast down these giants, but he didn't remember to take the steel swords and armour and stuff, so it was left on the battlefield, and then people came and took it. Then it cuts forward to another scene where Conan's, I think he's hunting, he's a boy anyway, I think he's hunting or something, I can't remember now. Anyway, he's in the forest, and then this army comes in. It's the army of Thulsa Doom, and they don't really know why he's there. They just turn up, and they come in and they ride into the village. They kill everybody. Conan's father's a great warrior, so he's fighting them off, but he gets killed. And then it comes down to just Conan and his mother, and Thulsa Doom, who is a sorcerer himself, but really powerful one. He comes and he kills Conan's mother, and Conan's taken into slavery. Then Conan gets put onto this, I think it's something for grinding corn, or something like that. Anyway, whatever it is, he's pushing it for 20 years, and for whatever reason it works like a multi-gem, because at the end of that time he's turned into Arnold Schwarzenegger, with all the muscle groups that have been worked on by walking around in a circle for 20 years. Anyway, so he gets taken to the east, and he's trained by the war masters, like Genghis Khan type characters, and they make him a pit fighter, and you get that famous, well, if you know the film, it's known to you, the bit where he's sat in the middle of a room and one of them says, "What is best in life?" And the guy's son says, "The open steppe, falcon at your wrist, the wind in your hair." "No, what is best in life, Conan?" And he says, "Crush your enemy, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women. Hey!" And they'll cheer. Anyway, he's getting trained and taught philosophy, and he gets to have a bit of the other with these women they bring for him while everybody watches. But then he gets released, and then he runs off, and he gets attacked by a pack of wild dogs, and he's running away from them, and when he's running away from them, he finds this tomb of some great king from some forgotten civilization, possibly Atlantean. I think Thulsa Doom's supposed to be Atlantean, by the way. So maybe it's another Atlantean. So he gets a sword and he goes out, and then the dogs are waiting for him, and then in the next scene he's wearing a load of furs that he's taken off the dogs. He must have killed them and made himself a suit. Then anyway, he meets a witch, and he ends up sleeping with her as payment for information from the spirit world or whatever, and she tells him where to find Thulsa Doom. He has to go to a place called Zamora, the crossroads of the world. So he goes. Then she turns into a vampire or something and attacks him. I probably should have said spoilers, shouldn't I, if you've not seen it. It is an old film though, so I assume most people will have seen it that are going to see it. Anyway, the next day when he throws her in the fire and she flies off, not best pleased. And then anyway, he ends up spending the night there, and when he goes out, he meets there's this guy tied up outside. He's called Subutai, and he ends up releasing him, and they become friends, good friends. And then together they go to this place called Zamara looking for the snake cult of Thulsa Doom. And then there's whole scenes with them talking about like what they believe in and stuff like that, and you see them going through the city and talking to people, and you see there's towers with the snakes on them. Then eventually you get to the point where they're going to break in, and just as they're breaking in, there's this woman there who's breaking called Valeria, who they quickly realise that neither of them are none of them are guards, so they end up going in together, and there's some kind of ritual going on where they're going to sacrifice this girl to this massive snake. So they go in. Valeria dresses up as one of them, and Conan and Subutai go further down into the thing where the snake is. They don't know it's there, and they're taking all the stuff. And then Conan sees this standard that they were carrying when they invaded his village. So he takes it, but the snake's asleep underneath, and as he's taking it, he sweats, and a little bit of his sweat goes on the snake, and it wakes it up. So it attacks him. So they end up killing the snake anyway, and they have this fight with it, which is pretty good too. But it's good. And then the woman of the sacrificing, she jumps in because they can control the followers. It's like a cult. So she falls in on top of the snake, and then Rexor, who's one of the main generals for Thulsa Doom, says, kill him. So they're running away and they're getting followed. So anyway, eventually they escape. Well, it's not that long of a scene actually. Just trying to remember how it happens. Anyway, they get away, and they've stolen this jewel, and Conan gives it to Valeria, and then they get close, and they start, they're together then, and then eventually they get brought before this other king. Well, it's a king, and he's called Osric the Usurper, and his daughter's been taken by Thulsa Doom, so he offers to pay Conan to go and rescue her. And just 1 minute. I'm making a video.
Oh, brush my teeth and wash my hands.
Well, come in. Sorry about that. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, King Osric offers to pay Conan and the others to go and get his daughter back from Thulsa Doom. So Valeria doesn't want to do it, but Conan eventually goes off on his own to do it, and he meets Mako, who's this wizard. I don't know what he's called in the film. I can't remember, but he tells him about this place where he is. It's like magical place where he is, and there's demons there. And anyway, Conan asks about flowers, so Mako finds that funny. So he takes a camel and he goes over to this place where the cult is, and he's trying to sneak in, and he steals one of the priest's robes, and he's got this big standard thing on him still, which stands out, so obviously they realise who he is, because it must be some kind of special significance. So he gets captured, and then he gets beaten up, and then Thulsa Doom tells Conan what the riddle of steel is, and he's what is the riddle of steel? And it's steel's weak. What is steel without the hand that wields it? And then he shows him gets this girl to jump off a cliff just at his say-so, and she kills herself. But it's just that's the power he has over these people. Anyway, they crucify Conan on the Tree of War, and there's a bit when there's a vulture trying to eat at him, and he rips its throat out with his teeth, which in real life was a stuffed vulture that was about 100 years old. And he had to have his mouth washed out afterwards right away, just in case. But anyway, so he kills this vulture, and he's just about to die when Subutai comes and gets him down, and they take him back to the magician. And Valeria says, I'll pay the price for bringing him back, which she does, by the way. So they have to put all these spells on his face and everything, and then he does this magic ritual. And then there's some demon things to come and get him, and if they manage to take him, then he can't come back, but they manage to stop them anyway, because they tie him down, his body down. Then he comes back to life, and then they come up with a plan to go and get the princess. And they get in and they get her and everything. I'm speeding up a bit now, because I'm conscious of how long this video is. And then Thulsa Doom has this magic arrow that he shoots as they're getting away, and it hits Valeria, and she ends up dying. And then they go back to the place where the wizard is, and they get it all ready for a fight. And then Thulsa Doom's forces come, he's there as well. There's a big battle. Conan ends up killing both of Thulsa Doom's generals. And Tulsa Doom tries to kill the princess, but they manage to stop him. And then he rides off, and then it's the final scene. Then Conan goes with the princess into the cult compound, or whatever you want to call it. Again, he's got a hollow mountain. I forgot to mention that. So anyway, Thulsa Doom's talking to his followers, and Conan comes up behind him, and he tries to hypnotise Conan, but he's like saying, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be what you are now. I give you your strength and everything. I am the wellspring from which you flow, he says. But anyway, Conan comes round and he hacks his head off and throws it to his followers, and then his followers all start dispersing. And then he takes the princess back. He burns down the mountain fortress or whatever, and he takes the princess back, and it's the end of the film. But it's a really kick-ass film, Conan the Barbarian. I really like it. I've watched it so many times. They did do a sequel, which for me is all right, but it's nowhere near as good. I mean, if you like the first one, then you just as a follow-up, you could watch it, but definitely the first one's the best. And then they did Red Sonja after that, which is... shit. Yeah, that's the word. I wouldn't go out my way. If it's on TV or something and you've got nothing else better to do, you could watch it. But other than that, I wouldn't bother. It's just like a really washed-down version of the original one. Conan the Barbarian, it was directed by the director John Milius, and he is a Chad director. He did another film called Red Dawn I've not seen it, but that's supposed to be really good as well. I don't know how it stands up to Conan though, but anyway, yeah, it's just really good. Just the way it's it's typical 80s film. It's really, really mature, but it's intelligent as well. It's not just a mindless action film. There's a lot of good stuff in there. It's really well directed and acted, and the look of it's brilliant. And James Earl Jones is brilliant as well as Thulsa Doom. He's really good. He plays him really well. He's like this. I think he said himself, he's like the Stone Age version of Darth Vader in this film. I agree, yeah. And he's supposed to be an Atlantean, the last of his kind. He's been watching mankind and interfering for 1,000 years. Anyway, that's my movies from memory review of, well, not review, but my memory of Conan the Barbarian. So if you end up watching it, let me know, because I'm interested to know what other people think of this film. I think it's really good. It's one of my favourites, especially one of my favourite Arnold films, probably after Predator and then Terminator, or maybe Terminator 2. It's up there anyway. It's one of my top 5 easy. Top 5 Schwarzenegger films. Anyway, that'll do, I think. Let me know what you think if you watch it, and if you want to leave, if you want to comment anything else as well, that's fine. And if you want to give me a thumbs up if you think it's been good enough. I have rambled a bit. Tried not to. I tried to keep it just on, the point of the film, but if I went off too far, sorry. But anyway, thanks for watching, and bye for now.